Are you ready to upskill your ClickUp skills and boost your earning? Hello, champs! I'm Eloisa, ang inyong Filipina Verified ClickUp Consultant. Ang kasama nyo para sa inyong ClickUp Journey success. So this is part 1 of our 3-part series where I will teach you essential ClickUp skills to elevate your workflows. And stick around until the end because we're giving away a free ClickUp template that you can use daily, absolutely free, and it's designed to help you as a VA to excel in your work on a daily basis. As virtual assistants, we're always looking for ways to manage tasks efficiently and to save time for our clients, right? So today, we're going to be talking about ClickUp Forms. So this tool is a game changer for gathering information and streamlining your workflow. So whether you're collecting information from your clients or you're managing feedback from your team members or let's say your guests or you're organizing internal tasks. So mastering ClickUp Forms can significantly elevate your productivity and your service offering to your clients. But before we dive into today's lesson, let me share a bit about myself and my journey as a ClickUp Verified Consultant. Imagine yourself transforming from a general virtual assistant earning modest rates to a specialized ClickUp expert, and you can charge top dollar. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started at 5 Australian dollars an hour, and now I earn over 100 per hour just for 1 hour of consulting work. And my journey from a general VA to a specialized or an expert verified ClickUp consultant is a dream come true. And I'm here to help you achieve the same. I've worked over 90,000 hours, almost 10 years as a freelancer. And I'm the first Filipino level up speaker at ClickUp's annual event. And I even provided consultancy services to ClickUp themselves, which just getting recognized by the motherhood is already a great achievement for me. Mastering tools like ClickUp can take you places, literally. I actually once flew to Dubai and Oman for an all expenses paid consultancy trip. And if I can do it, so can you. Now let's dive into forms. Now let's talk about our first lesson, ClickUp Forms. So forms might seem like just the basic tool for collecting information. They're very common, but they are so much more than that. With ClickUp, forms become a powerful way to generate data efficiently and to automate your workflows. Let's dive in. Here are some of the forms that we use internally in our operations. So the first set would be the forms that we use for our team members. Now we're going to create maybe a simple invoice form. The first step that you need to do is to identify the fields that you're going to need for the form. Okay, so I actually have a document that I use for whenever I'm creating a process design. So let's say I'm creating an invoicing process. Yeah, right. So I have a blueprint that I follow. So for example, let me just pull up that template. Okay, so some of the elements that we include in the process design would be the description of the process, a sample workflow, maybe a video, a Loom video, or a screenshot. And then we also include a table of the custom fields. So these are just some of the fields that we can include in the invoice form. So let's just say we have a service type, which is a drop down or a label, and you can include the different services that you offer. We also have a total amount. It can either be a money or a number field. I only do numbers mainly because if you're dealing with multiple currencies. So if it's multiple currencies, then use a number for that. And then if it's just really USD every time, then you can use a money field instead. I added billing details to include the billing address or the tax information of the client. And the reason I'm not using like a location or address field for the billing address, mainly because the location or address field in ClickUp has geotagging, and sometimes it auto suggests the location based on what's available in the geotags, right? So instead, it allows me the flexibility if it's just a long text or a paragraph form, right? And then I can also include like the tax information in one field. There's an email, of course. Usually this is the email of the company owner. And then I added an additional email just in case you need to copy in the accounting department or the finance department. And then the task name is an important piece because you need to identify who's going to be or what is going to be the unique identifier of the record once the form is submitted in ClickUp, right? So that's an important piece. In this case, the task name of the record is going to be the company name. Okay, so that means you don't also have to create a separate field for company name because we're going to use the task name as the placeholder for the company name. Due date and date created are native fields in ClickUp. You don't have to create an extra field for that. So just pull up the due date and the date created, and that should take care of the due date of the payment, and also the date created would be the date the invoice was submitted. The breakdown is a long text. You can also use the description for that. And you can add line items or the summary of the services or the milestones included in the invoice. Next would be if you're offering discount, again, that could either be a money or a number field. A number field, again, if you're using multiple currencies. Then the net amount would just be a formula for deducting the discount from the total amount. The currency, you can add a drop down there, so you can add commonly used currencies with your clients. So let's say you have AUD, you have USD, you have Euro, you also have pounds. So you can add more depending on your client base. And then for the status, I used to invoice sent, paid. Now, sometimes it takes time for the banks to clear the funds, so I've included funds received. And then cancel just in case it didn't pan out. You also need to add a date field, and the date paid field is important if you want to create a dashboard of your net income or your income per month. So date paid is going to be that's going to be the x-axis in your bar chart. And also you can also add an invoice number field. That's going to be a number field. So once you've identified all the fields, just tips, right? Or keep in mind whenever you're creating fields. One, make sure that your fields, the names of your fields are not too long. Okay? Keep it to 2 words max because it will consume a lot of space. And also, if your custom field name is too long, it gets cut out anyway. So you won't be able to read it in full. So might as well keep it short and sweet. Next would be do not create fields, especially if there's a native field already in ClickUp. So what are the native fields that I'm talking about? You have assignee, due date, priority, you have date created, you have statuses, created by, date closed, date done. Those are system generated fields, especially the date ones and the date created, the created by. So you don't have to create dedicated fields for that. For example, date done or date closed or date created could be the invoice submission date, right? So you don't have to create a dedicated custom field for that because you can use custom fields. Next would be an important aspect of creating forms is identifying the unique identifier of the record. So in most cases, if you want a list of, let's say, company names or a list of vendors, then the task name would be the vendor name. Now, if it's a list of invoices, you can use the invoice number as the task name or the record name or the company name. In this case, we use the company name. So that's an important piece because you would like to consider what your list would look like. Would it be a list of contact names? Would it be a list of company names? So that means whichever you've identified as the identifier, you would put that in the task name in the form. Okay, that will make more sense once we create the form here. Once we've identified, now that we're ready and we've identified all the fields that we need for the form, of course, then would be to create these fields. Now, to create fields, there are multiple ways. You will find the custom fields right here, 3 dots, list settings, and then custom fields. But one way to make it faster is to do it in the list view. Okay, so that means you're hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. You're modifying the list view at the same time you're creating the fields in one go. So to create the fields, you can click the plus add column in here. We can start creating the fields that we need for this form. Okay, so first would be, we need the start. Let's start with the service type, right? The service type. And you can add colors. I will try and fast track or fast forward this part right here, so you don't have to go through everything. Okay. Okay, so I fast forwarded this video and now we have created all the fields for this form in as columns in the list. Okay, so the next step is, once you've done that, is to create the form view. Okay, to create the form view, just click plus view right here and then select form. All right, and the first thing that you can do here is, of course, if you are in the paid subscription, you are allowed to customize your form and add your logo. So let me just do that. Click save and it's going to look like that. Next, you need to name your form. So this is going to be the invoice request form or invoice form. Okay. You can also add instructions here or a text, greetings or introduction about this form. And then you can now start adding the fields. The first and most important thing would be the record name of the form, or what the list would look like. So this is going to be a list of company names. And I'm going to use the task name as a placeholder for the company name. So that's the reason I didn't create a custom field for the company name. So you can modify the front end name, but in the back end, you'd see that the back end name here, or the custom field name, is the task name. All right. Then you can slowly add more and more of the fields. So the next would be, maybe I'll put in the client email and their billing details, right? So you can either click the plus sign there, or you can drag and drop it to the form area. I added additional recipient. What else? The breakdown is, I'm using the long text field here, so I'll click plus sign. And then the service type, the total amount, the discount, the currency, the invoice number, and what else? I think we're good. Okay. Next, once you've added the fields, make sure to check if all of them are required or optional. So for example, client email, that's required. The billing details, that's required. Additional recipient might not be required, right? So we can tick off the required checkbox there. Breakdown is required. Service type is required. Total amount. Discount might not be applicable to everybody, so you can turn that off. Okay. Now, assuming that you have generated the invoice, a doc or PDF version of the invoice somewhere else, so you can also add an attachment. So you can attach the actual invoice file. Okay. And I didn't put the date paid because that can be captured after, of course, the payment is done. Now, the next step would be, you can make sure that it's turned on, make sure that it's active, and then copy the link so that you see the front end of the form. Okay. And this is how it looks right now. It looks nice, right? You can further interact with the settings on the right side. The first one would be, you can assign tasks to the dedicated person who needs to receive or review or action the form submission. So let's say that's get assigned to me automatically. You can also add a task template. So for example, there's a series of checklists that you need to complete whenever you're reviewing the form submission. So you can create a task template, and then apply that straight away the moment that the form is filled out. You can add also a redirect link. So for example, you wanted to redirect them to your Facebook page. A good use case of the redirect link is that, again, in our discovery form, it redirects to our scheduling link, so we don't have to do that manually. You also have the option to switch from light to dark. So if I switch to dark, this is how it's gonna look like. And then you can choose primary colors. So depending on your, let's say your branding, you can allocate the right hex code for your brand colors. So let's just choose maybe blue. That's the branding color of Virtual Champion. So if I refresh this, it's gonna look like that. It's gonna be blue. And then you can turn off ClickUp branding if you're on a paid subscription. So what happens is that at first there's gonna be productivity by ClickUp there, but if I turn this off, it's gonna be removed. Okay, so it's gonna get removed. You also have the option to add all the fields in the description so that you can copy them in bulk together. Maybe you want to put that in maybe the good use case would be an onboarding questionnaire. So add the custom fields in the description so that you can copy them together and maybe paste it in a document. Next is keep fields full width. So right now we have multiple fields in one row, but once you turn that on, it's going to be one field per row. And you can also filter out spammers, so you can add a CAPTCHA in there. Let me just turn that on, and then there's a CAPTCHA right there, and then show link to submit another response. So that's how you create forms. Other things that you can further do here is that automations, of course, you can do automations. And for example, here I added an automation that when the status changes to paid, I will record the date pay the moment it was captured, the moment it was changed, right? So of course, under the assumption that you're marking them as paid the moment that they get paid. You can still manually change the date paid if, let's say, you forgot or you missed it or you were on leave and you didn't mark it straight away. And make sure, another advanced mechanism that you can use here is the logic. And this is only available in higher plans. So for example, in the service type, so I added an additional SMM package here. I can add a logic that if the response is social media, that's the service that they selected, they can then select the social media package that the client actually purchased, all right? So what that would look like in the front end, let's switch this to light mode so that it's very clear, okay? What will happen is that, let me refresh, okay, there. So if I select social media right here, then another field will appear, and that's the conditional logic. You can do that with other field options as well, not just social media package. And that's it. Of course, before you make sure that you test your form by submitting a test response, and then you can then start sharing this with your stakeholders. And there you have it. That's how you create forms in ClickUp. I hope that was helpful. And if you have questions, just let us know. Thank you. So you might be wondering how this will help you as a virtual assistant, or how can you land your first client with ClickUp. First, Forms is one of the views in ClickUp. It not only streamlines your work, but it also makes you an indispensable asset to your clients, because not everybody know how to create forms in ClickUp. And yes, higher rates come with specialized skills. We'll dive deeper into how you can secure clients and set competitive rates in our next video. In our next video, we'll explore ClickUp Documents, ClickUp Docs, and uncover more secrets to boost your productivity. So trust me, you won't want to miss that, because ClickUp Docs is one of the most commonly used features of ClickUp as well. If you have questions, if you want to learn more, you can drop them in the comments. And remember, this is just part 1 of the 3-part series designed to help your freelancing game. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And join our newsletter so you can stay updated with our latest content. And before you go, I want to remind you that if you'd like to get a free ClickUp template that you can use with your client daily as a virtual assistant, simply comment freebies below. Once you do, you'll receive a message with a download link. It's a handy tool that will surely help you in your work. We use it daily as well with our clients, and it's absolutely free. And we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.